Henderson Jr. Show, featuring Robert Henderson Jr., certified financial planner and president of the Henderson Financial Group. Understanding money. It's all about the money. Understanding money. It's all about the money.
Happy Saturday, happy Saturday, happy Saturday. You are listening to the Robert Henderson Jr. Show, the Understanding Money Show. And guess what? I'm not Robert. I am his lovely daughter, Hyacinth Henderson, in the house. Welcome to the Understanding Money Show. I am sitting in with Keith Allen on my left. We're holding it down. Mr. Henderson's at a financial conference getting more financial wisdom to impart on all of us. So you got Hyacinth Henderson and Keith Allen. Say what's up.
Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing? And you, young lady, you did give yourself the proper introduction. You say his lovely daughter. We're going to go with that. And welcome to 2020.
2020, we are here. How does it feel?
Well, we've arrived.
It feels like it feels.
The waiting is over. No kidding.
We are here. So listen, for those of you who are new here, you generally don't get me the pleasure and the honor of having me on Saturdays at 8 a.m. You have the pleasure and honor of having my father, president, CEO, founder of the Henderson Financial Group. The Henderson Financial Group is a full-service financial planning and investment advisory firm based right here in Miami Lakes, Florida. We've been around for 30 years. That is a big deal. Wouldn't you say so, Keith?
That's a huge number.
Huge number. Been around for 30 years, and I've been with the firm for about 17 years. I don't want you to think that Mr. Henderson said, you know what, Hyacinth, I'm at this financial conference, just roll over and do the show this morning. He didn't say that.
Didn't it happen like that?
It kind of sort of, not really, right? So I've been working with my dad for the past 17 years. For those of you who don't know, I've been there 17 years. 2020 will be my 18th year. I am actually a licensed stockbroker, a registered investment advisor, an annuity and insurance broker as well. So I am not new to this. I am true to this. And so we're here. We're going to talk about some good topics. Well, also, for those of you who don't know, I do have a radio show on this same station at 6 a.m.
Very early at 6 a.m.
Very early.
But here's what I can say, because I've been listening to it ever since you got here, or since you came over here. And the thing I can say is it's 6 a.m., it is early, and it is worth it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Keith. Yeah. I always say if you're listening to me at 6 a.m., you're exactly where you're supposed to be. I have a message for you. You got a message for me, and we're here together.
No question.
Right?
Yep. Yes.
So that show is at 6 a.m., so I'm actually doing double duty this morning. And the name of my show is The American Cream. And on that show, I show you, teach you, lead you, guide you on ways to redefine the American dream on your terms, because your terms are the terms that matter with CREAM. And CREAM stands for credit, real estate, entrepreneurship, assets, and mindset. I firmly believe those are the 5 foundational pillars to financial freedom. What do you say, Keith?
I have to agree with you, and the one that I believe, even though it comes last, is probably first, yes. And that is the mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Most important.
Yeah. If you don't get that right, none of the other things will come to pass anyway.
You know, you're telling all the family Jews. That's a secret. But you know what? As it's 2020, let's let it out. You're right. If you don't have your mindset, there is no way you're gonna have your money set.
No question. No question
about it. So on this morning's show, I started talking about the 95% rule, right? So if you've been around the block, if you've been around the Henderson Financial Group, and definitely if you listen to the show, you've heard the commercial. We always say we firmly believe that 95% of your problems can be solved by writing a check, and only 5% cannot. So on the show earlier this morning, I talked about the 5%, and that dealt with just really mindset, right? And so we look at the number being, gosh, only 5% can't be solved by writing a check. And with the jewels that I gave you, you will realize that although that 5% can't be solved by writing a check, the lessons within those 5% is priceless. And so that show will be up on YouTube. I'll put it up on YouTube. Maybe next week you'll catch that show. But if you aren't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go back and subscribe. You can catch all my old shows. If you're new here and you didn't know I had a show, we can blame Mr. Henderson later. But in the meantime, right, call him and say, Rob, why didn't you tell me your child had a show, right? But in the meantime, head over to YouTube and you can catch all the replays. That's YouTube Hyacinth Henderson. And so I ran out of time and I wanted to talk about fear.
Well, just before we do,
okay,
I want to go back to something you just said a minute ago.
Let's see that.
And that is, you know, whenever we get taught that there's always a corollary, or when you have a particular principle that you're looking at, you can look at it from both sides. So if you said that you could solve most of your problems, 95% of your problems, by writing a check.
Yes.
If we look at that number the other way, and that is that if you put the 95 on top, we find that when you examine 100 people, when we use this example often, that out of 100 people at the end, or coming close to the end of their lifetime, only 5 will be wealthy.
That's right.
95 won't.
Right.
So if we understand those numbers in the way that you just described them, then it also tells you what your goal has to be. You want to be a part of the 5.
That's right.
So that you can handle the 95.
Absolutely. I love that. You see how he broke that all the way down. And the only way you were able to do that is because that mindset. You had to look at it from a different perspective.
Right.
And you said, wait a minute, I don't want to get caught up on the big numbers, right? So the 95 may seem, like huge.
Right.
Like I want to be amongst the 95%. But really and truly, you're right. Only the 5% are able to live financially free. And what do we want to be a part of?
I want to be in that group.
In that group. And as a 5%, and that's a beautiful tie-in, the 5% of your issues or problems or whatever term you want to use that cannot be solved by writing a check, as I said in this morning's shows, those are your master teachers. Those are your master lessons, the things that you have to learn and master. And once you learn and master them, that information, that wisdom will turn into priceless wisdom that will carry you so that you then can apply the financial principles that we teach you at the Henderson Financial Group.
So that you not only get in, but you stay in.
Get in and stay in. Awesome. Yes, I love it. So we didn't get a chance. I was on a roll and going. And I said, you know what? Most people don't have a money problem. You got a spending problem, right? You just spending all your money on stuff you don't need. And I'm not going to recap the show because I want you to go to my YouTube and re-listen to it. But some people say, you know what, Hyacinth, I don't have a spending problem. I really do got a money problem. And I said, well, okay, let me see. Because money is just a thing. Money is just, it's just what we use to exchange value right now. It's not worth anything. So if I know it's not really a money problem, then what is it, Hyacinth? Okay, if it's not a money problem, if it's not a spending problem, it is a fear problem.
Well, wait a minute, but let's go back because I want to stay with you. I want to
stay with me now. Come on.
Because you're actually talking about something that I have to go home and look in the mirror at and see where I fit in the conversation.
I love that.
Because every conversation you have, you are a part of it. So if somebody says I have a money problem, then again, it's not, money can never be a problem.
Never.
So is it a lack of money problem? Or is it a too much money problem?
Well,
because both of them on either side of the coin.
Okay.
If you've identified it as a problem, then it's an issue.
It's an issue only because of your mindset, the way you're thinking about it, right?
Right.
So remember, I want you to know that money is worth nothing. I say it all the time on my show and wherever you hear me speak, money is worth nothing. We only care about money because it's the medium of exchange. If we woke up tomorrow and they said, you know what, in order for you to buy a new plane ticket, you need to use oranges. We don't want your money. We don't want your Amex. You need oranges. Everyone would then go out and try to figure out how to get more oranges. If you woke up tomorrow and they said you need to pay your mortgage or your rent with oranges, your focus would be on oranges. So it's never really about the money. You see what I'm saying? Because the money is just a means to getting what you need. So if the focus isn't on the money, then it's on the mindset. So now let me go back a little bit. When I say you don't have a money problem, most people have a spending problem, meaning you're spending too much no matter how much money you have. You make $100,000 a year, you're spending $150,000 a year.
So in that other example, I could either use my oranges judiciously, or I'm gonna use them all to make juice at one time.
Well, right? You're drinking some juice, but the key is you can't make no juice if you ain't got no oranges.
Okay,
and how do you get oranges? You got to use your mind to get the oranges. So it's always back to mindset and how you think about things. So when people say, I don't have any money, I'm not spending all of my money, then I break it all the way down. I said, well, why are you scared to make money? If you don't have any money, let's talk about fear. Since it's 2020 and we really want to give you something to really kick off this new year, what I want you to do is to write this 4-letter word down. FEAR. This word will change your entire life for 2020. It'll change your 2020 so good that it'll change your 2021, 2022, and beyond. And what do I mean by fear? If you say I don't have no money, I'm going to say, what are you scared of? Why are you scared? Do you not have any money because you're scared to leave that job that you know you should have been left 2 years ago? See what I mean about fear?
Don't talk to me like
I'm
that.
talking to you dead in the face, looking at you. I got my glasses on and I can see you.
Don't talk to me like
So
that.
that's what I mean. You see what I mean when I'm talking about fear?
Right.
When I say fear, it's never, don't blame it on the money. Because if I change it to oranges, you're going to blame it on the oranges. And oranges ain't did nothing to you. What are you afraid of? Fear. Does it mean forget everything and run? Does it mean that? Have you been allowing fear to dictate your life?
Let me write that down.
That's right, FEAR. Let's like you say, when you go home and you look at yourself in the mirror and you have that conversation, one of my favorite Mike Jack songs, Peaceful Transition to You, Mike Jack. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Or the woe man in the mirror.
Woe man in the mirror.
The woe man in the mirror. Fear. That's how we starting off the new year. What are you afraid of? What are you scared of? Are you afraid of leaving that old job? Are you afraid of working too many hours? Are you afraid of following your passion and following your dream and threatening the people around you? Because some people now, they're so scared of really being the person that they're destined to be and designed and born to be because they married to somebody or with somebody who's only pulling half their weight. You know, the other day, my daughter, this is a true story here. I always like to try and true stories. Let me tell it to you. It's called Freedom Riders. Anybody, you saw that movie before? You saw the movie. Okay. So at first she's like, you want to watch Freedom Riders? I'm like, yeah, Freedom Riders and Freedom Fighters. And she's like, no, Mom, Freedom Riders. So if you haven't seen the movie, watch the movie. I stuck through it. In the beginning, they were doing all this fighting. And I got up and I said, girl, this is aggravating my spirit with all this fighting. I can't do this. Turn this off. And she got in her feelings. And I said, okay, turn it back on. I'm glad that she turned it back on. We stuck with it. But in the movie, it was a teacher. And the teacher was so passionate about her job. She was so passionate about her job of teaching these students who have been bused in to a new school. I'm not going to give the entire movie away, but anyway, she was so passionate about it that not only was she only being paid $26,000 a year, she had to go get a second job and a third job so that she could buy resources to be able to help her students at her main job. So she ended up getting 3 jobs. And while she was doing this, her husband was complaining the entire way. Do you remember that, Keith?
Yes, indeed.
He was complaining, and she looked at him and she said, honey, we don't have any children. This is the perfect time for us to be doing this. You play golf on the weekends, or, maybe you can go back to school and follow your dreams of doing architecture. And he looked at her, and what did he end up doing in the movie? Do you remember what he ended up doing in the movie,
No,
Keith?
what did he do?
He divorced her. He had his bags packed, honey. She came home. This lady, I would have left him before he left me, but that's bad Hyacinth. We'll talk about that another day. But sometimes the trash takes itself out.
So I've got a question.
Yes.
So for him, her pursuing that passion that she had, that fully, what kind of fear did that elicit in him that he had to leave?
Fear, and he actually said this to her, fear that the roles were reversed. He said he didn't want to be a wife. That's what he said to his wife. He didn't sign up to be a wife. So the fear was that he was inadequate. He had the fear that he was bringing his weight. He had the fear of that he was not showing up in a way of value for his wife. And so his own fears in his own head caused him to be unhappy, and say, you know what, I'm leaving this situation. But I use this example because this is a real story. As I saw her working a second job and a third job and being so excited and coming home talking about the children and what they were doing and these changes, and him sitting home having a glass of wine and watching TV and all this. This is a true story. And the movie is actually based on a true story.
Right.
And he packed his bags. One day, lady came home from working late, and he got his bags back. You got your stuff back.
So once again, so looking at the other side of that, so whatever that was, it was a threat to him because he couldn't see that he was the beneficiary.
Well,
he was the beneficiary of all that passion that she was following, which meant that she was a happier person to be with when they were together.
Absolutely. And happier. She was so happy that her happiness should have inspired his own happiness. Right? So when you're now it's turned into relationship talk, right? But when you're with somebody who's equally yoked, right? And then you're doing your thing. That's why you always got to do your thing. You're doing your thing so good. They're so happy. You're so happy. They're happy for you. Guess what they want to do? They want to start following their dreams. They're like, my girl over here working 2 and 3 jobs. She's happy. She's passionate. Maybe I can get up and be passionate about what I'm passionate about.
Or, like I like to say about relationship, or their passion actually gives you the door that opens the door for you to be supportive of them in such a way that it makes them grow even more.
I love that. You're right.
Because
we need somebody in the support role.
I got 5 sisters.
You got 5, right?
And a wife. And the one thing I learned about that is I also always let them know that my job is to love and support you.
Absolutely.
That's it.
And that's priceless.
Yeah, love and support.
Especially for an ambitious woman.
Yeah.
But when we tie that back into fear, there are people right now listening to the sounds of our voice who are afraid. They're fearful of following their dreams, pursuing their happiness, starting their business, working that second job, buying that real estate property, getting their financial house in order because they're laying next to someone who they don't want to step on their toes. So they're fearful that if they step into this new role or if they step into who they're destined to be, that it's going to cause havoc on their relationship. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So then how does that relate to money? Well, you're playing small. So you playing small and telling me you don't have enough money when you're sitting on all this $1 million talent. And you're sitting on this $1 million talent because you was afraid to ruffle Tito feathers over here. But if you ruffle Tito's feathers, sometimes you gotta ruffle Tito's feathers. I'm a believer of that. Y'all know I got a strong personality. Tito, we gonna ruffle these feathers, baby. You know why? Because either you're gonna rise up and support, you're gonna rise up and do your job, or you're gonna rise up and hit it. And all of those are a blessing for me.
Either one.
Either one is a blessing.
Yeah. What was the saying? If the train don't stop at your station, it's not your train.
It's not your train. It's not your train, because hear me good when I say this. Everything that you ask for, all of your desires, all of your dreams, as soon as you ask for them, you are receiving them. The universe is conspiring to give you everything you ask for, but you can't see it. So sometimes you got to have that tough conversation with Tito. Sometimes you got to be like, you know what? I'm starting this career. I'm getting this real estate license. I am investing with the Henderson Financial Group. I'm doing all of this because I'm not allowing fear that you may leave keep me crippled, because I already know, affirm, and believe that whatever I ask for, I will receive, and some things have to move. People, places, and things got to move.
And let's just say this so nobody gets confused. We are talking about money.
We are talking about money.
This is the Understanding Money Show. And if you want to know more, remember, call us at the Henderson Financial Group, 305-825-1444.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's always about money, but listen, it's the sum of the small things. Money and your experiences, you don't just happen upon, one day I got $1 million. It doesn't work that way. It's the sum of your small actions and small decisions and steps that you make that allow you to get to the position to where you can touch $1 million. And so again, if you don't have a spending problem, then you probably got a fear problem. And so ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Am I afraid of, listen, this is a good one too. Many people, can you believe this, Keith? And I know it's a mindset thing. It goes back to mindset. Are afraid of getting a job and doing better because they don't want to lose their benefits. Let's talk about Section 8 housing. Let's talk about Section 8 housing.
You don't want to lose. Is that a benefit?
Now we go deeper down the rabbit hole. We're talking my language now. Let's get into it. Is it really a benefit? And I talked about that last week when I talked about the Secure Act. That will be up on my YouTube as well. But is it a benefit for who? But there are people, let's keep it on the surface because we don't have a lot of time to go real deep. But there are people who don't want to go out and get a job. They don't want to go out and perfect their skills and start their own business because they're getting some type of governmental assistance and they believe it to be a benefit. They believe that HUD housing is a benefit. They believe that their disability checks are benefits and they are sitting on real talent. Can you believe that?
So is it a benefit or is it actually it's a station along the way?
Well, since you say this, and I know this ain't my show, this is the Robert Henderson Jr. show, but you know what I say on my show. If the government is involved, it's not really a benefit. I'm going to say it on his show today. If the government is involved, it ain't benefiting you, it's benefiting them. So that doesn't matter. We're talking about Section 8, we're talking about Medicare, whatever it is benefiting them. But you're right. Is it a benefit or is it a station along the way? A station along the way means that's not your final destination.
Exactly.
That means maybe for a period of time, whatever it is, you find yourself needing some assistance from the government, but they ain't your friend. The government ain't your friend. They don't want to help you forever and ever and ever and ever, and you shouldn't want to. So if you're sitting on talents, if you're sitting on ideas, if you have things that you want to do, need to do, things that you know that you are good at, get up and do it. Get rid of the fear. You got to let that fear go so that you can roll out of bed on Saturday morning and roll into your best year ever. And your best year ever is going to turn into your best life ever. If you're just tuning in, I know you hear me. It's Hyacinth Henderson, Mr. Henderson's lovely daughter. I'm sitting in for him with Keith Allen here. We're holding down the fort, but it is 8:20. What time does he take his break? Does he take his break at 8:20? I do mine at the 20. So we're going to take a real quick commercial break and we have a call on the line. We're going to be right back. You're listening to the Robert Henderson Jr. Understanding Money Show. Be right back.
You know, Linda, people have worked very hard all their entire lives to save what they thought was enough for retirement.
Robert, what is enough? Especially in today's volatile stock market, so many people are concerned that they just may not have enough to retire. So what can they do?
You know, all it really takes is sitting down with someone at the Henderson Financial Group to first educate you and then discuss your personal goals and objectives and working out a plan to help you succeed.
I agree. I'm Linda V. Harris, Vice President of the Henderson Financial Group and a retirement planning specialist.
And I'm Robert Henderson Jr., Certified Financial Planner, the President of the Henderson Financial Group.
What I love about us at the Henderson Financial Group, Robert, is we've helped so many people just like you, just like our listening audience, prepare for a successful and prosperous retirement.
Don't wait. Call our office today at 305-825-1444 and you'll be glad you did. Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired of people giving you the wrong financial advice?
Do you have to make everyday serious economic and financial decisions on a daily basis?
Tune in every Saturday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and join us live as we discuss money, business, and finance.
We're the Henderson Financial Group and we host Understanding Money every Saturday morning. Linda Harris and Robert Henderson, we look forward to seeing you.
Understanding money. It's all about the money.
Welcome back. Happy Saturday. This is the first Saturday in 2020. It's January 4th. And no, you're not listening to Robert. You're listening to Hyacinth Henderson and Keith Allen. And we are excited to be here. Hey, Keith.
Good morning.
Happy Saturday. We do have a caller on the line. We're going to take the caller real quick and then we're going to get back into this discussion. What's up, caller?
Good morning. My name is Ronnie Gerbis.
Hey, Miss Gerbis.
Happy New Year to you, my darling, Mr. Henderson's lovely daughter. I am so proud of you. Good morning, Keith.
How are you doing?
I am listening to you, and you're doing such a good job, Hyacinth.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I'm a work in progress, and ever since I learned, I've changed my mindset. Ever since I learned that fear is false evidence appearing real, it has changed my life. So I'm listening to you, I'm learning, and thank you so very much for this morning, because I really, really enjoy your show. And I just wanted to say to you, I'm so proud of you. And thank you very much. And I'll stay tuned.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gerbis. It's a pleasure. I haven't heard your voice in a long time. It's a pleasure to hear you. I know you can hear me smiling through the radio.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Listen, I'm listening to you and say, is this Mr. Henderson's little baby girl?
Can you imagine? Can you
I
imagine?
can't imagine.
Yes,
I can't imagine. So just give yourself a big hug, and I'm going to stay tuned and listen to you. And I have to tell your dad, you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gerbis. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye.
We appreciate that.
So Ms. Gerbis is right on track. So originally I gave you the fear, forget everything and run, but she came right in and right on time. That was the second part of it. I wanted you to change that to what? False evidence appearing real. That's all fear is. And so that, if it's one word that you write on your vision board, if you're like me, you write on your mirror. If it's one word that you write on your mirror, or maybe you tape it to your forehead, that is fear. And when you look at that word fear, I want you to use that second definition of it, and that is false evidence appearing real. And when you look at it from that perspective, what do? You then do it. Whatever it is that you want to do, you start that new job, you start that business, you ask for that promotion, you ask for that raise, you take that class, you go back to business school, you do all of these things because you know that the false evidence is not real. And when you do these things, you will empower yourself in such a way that the people, places, and things will start to shift so that you can actually get the things that you want to get and earn the money that you deserve to earn. And then we can talk about investing your coins, right? But it starts there.
So then we have to look and see which face of fear we're actually talking about.
Clearly. Absolutely.
Because fear does come with a lot of different faces.
It does. You know,
fear of loss, fear of lack, fear of...
Yeah. It depends on, it's all about perspective.
Right.
It's all about mindset. Like this morning I said, imagine fear, put it in a straight line. Imagine fear. I want you to draw a line on a piece of paper from one end to the next. That is fear. What end of the spectrum of fear are you on? Are you on the end of the spectrum that says forget everything and run? Or are you on the end of the spectrum that says false evidence appearing real? And here's the beautiful thing. You can easily go from one end of the line to the next. All you gotta do is move. And I understand that sometimes you don't know how to move. Sometimes you're like, dang, you try to overthink it. And that's why I tell you, don't figure out the how. When you're getting ready to get on an airplane and you're going to visit your friends and your family members, you don't ask the pilot how you going to get me there, what route you going to take. You get on that plane with the expectation that you're going to get where you got to go. And that's sometimes what you have to do in order to force yourself to have a mindset shift. Because if you overthink it, you're trying to figure out the pieces of the puzzle and where they go. Nah.
What is this button for?
What is this for? Where I gotta go. All you need to know is you gotta go.
You gotta go.
You gotta go. You gotta go, because this right here is not where it's at. It has to be something more for you. And if there's more for you, what do you need to do? And you need to move. You need to walk. Because if 95% of your problems can be solved by writing a check, and if you're one of those people who are genuinely saying, Hyacinth, I went through my bills, I went through my expenses, I went through everything, and it just ain't no more money, I'm gonna tell you need to make some more money. Your job, let me tell you what your job is to do. Your job is to provide so much value that people pay you for it. Think about that. Your job is to provide so much value that people say, you know what? You provided that value and I'm going to pay you for it. That's really what we do when you take a class or a course. When you go to an expert,
right? We're
paying them for the value they provide. And so if you want to be paid more, you got to do what? Provide more value. How do you provide more value? Get off your butt. Go back to school. Start that business that you know you're good at. Some of y'all bake the best cakes, bake the best dresses. I was in the city the other day and I seen a dress shop. Like a dress shop in the window. We were driving and y'all forgive me, I don't go to church much. So this is like the old school dresses. Like back when my granddaddy used to take me to church. You know, the mothers in the church, they had the whole outfit on, like from the hat with the handkerchief and the suit, and in the dress shop in the window, they had all these dresses. And I thought to myself, I said, there is still a market for this. These people has this. I didn't know. I haven't seen it in real life in years. Like, I haven't seen it in real life. And then when I do go to church, I ain't going to the churches with the mothers. Somebody, y'all invite me to y'all church. I want to go see the mothers with the hats and the 3-piece suit. So the ones that's going to call me baby and make me sweet potato pie.
You want the whole experience.
The whole experience. I mean, if I'm going to church, I want to go to church. Right? But the point is, there's a market for that. And someone has a brick and mortar store in 2020 because there's a market for that. So you listening to the sound of our voice, don't listen to the people around you. Don't listen to that inner voice that's telling you there is no market for what you want to do, because there is absolutely a market for it. There's a market for your talent. If there wasn't a market for your talent, you wouldn't have it. Do you think the infinite creator would give you something that is useless? The infinite creator gave you a talent and a purpose because they knew that you could pull it off. So we got to get rid of that fear and figure out, what am I going to do in 2020 to be able to move beyond and look at, well, like you said, Keith, I want to look at fear in a different way. I want to forget everything and I don't want to forget everything and run. I want to realize this is false evidence appearing real. And I want to move to that side of the fear that says, go girl and do it, or go guy and do it, so that I can really and truly make 2020 the best year ever.
Well, I don't want to, like you said, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole.
Okay.
But when we were studying the Course in Miracles, they taught us that there are only two emotions, and that is love or fear.
That's right.
So actually, if you go to the other end of, or either end of that fear line, and you get there and you can look at whatever the face of fear is that you're looking at, and then love yourself enough to go through it. Anyway,
love yourself enough to go through it. That's powerful. Because sometimes, as I started to say, we want the answers, and all you got to do is be like, "Yo, I got to go through it.
Go through this.
I got to go through this. I don't know. I don't have the answers right now. I don't know how we gonna get there, Mr. Pilot, but we gonna get there.
Right.
Like, I just have to move. I have to love myself enough, and sometimes that's the mantra. I love myself enough to go through it. Boom. I love myself enough to do it. I love myself enough to keep moving. I love myself enough to get out of bed with a smile on my face. I love myself enough to get up and go apply for a new position. I love myself enough to realize that I am not a tree. I'm not planted. Y'all, we got to get rid of this fear in 2020. We're not planted and we're not playing. Right?
Not at all.
If you're not planting, if you're not playing, then what does that look like for you? What are you then going to do? Because I know my people. I talk to y'all when y'all call, y'all come in, and when we talk and we have these conversations, I say, you know what? That's a great idea. That's a really, really great idea. But sometimes we're around. Let's talk about a change of environment. Let's talk about that, because we can be around people who we share our ideas with, and we talk about we want to do this, and since they ain't doing nothing, they definitely can't see you doing something. Let me say that again. If the people who you are around ain't doing nothing, I speak Ebonics sometimes, right? And I can speak properly. I know this is Mr. Henderson show. I don't know how he talk over here. But since I'm sitting in today, you may be around people who aren't doing anything with their life. And if you are around those people and you share with them that, you know what, friend, mom, daddy, sister, brother, lover, Tito in a bed, if I share with you that this is the year that I'm actually going to start my business, and you haven't started a business, you aren't in a position to really support me and encourage me to start that business. And it's not that you don't love me. It's not that you're a bad person. It's just that you don't have the vision to be able to help me see mine, because you haven't been there.
Well, not that they haven't been there, but their consciousness isn't big enough to hold that idea.
Now we're talking about it. That's my favorite word, consciousness. And you want to put another word in front of it? My real favorite word, God consciousness. But that's really going down a rabbit hole. That's going deep, 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 deep. Mr. Henderson gonna be like, how does he pull up? Now, this is my show. This is my show. But really, really and truly, it's you got to think about it from that way. But what I wanted to say, and the point of it all is, you got to do it anyway. You got to do it anyway, because I'm going to tell you, we see a lot of people, we manage a lot of money, we're in a lot of rooms. And the people who are making moves, some of them, they ain't that smart. We talk about it all the time. We come back and we like, dang, really? Could you believe that? They aren't that smart, but what they have is they have enough love for themselves to get up and do it.
And they're willing to actually expand their knowledge. If in fact we're talking to you and you want to say something or you want to ask a question, call us 786-633-5927.
Yes. You're listening to WNMA 1210 The Man, and I'm the Whoa with the Man on today's show. You're listening to the Understanding Money Show. It's Hyacinth Henderson, Mr. Henderson's, as Miss Gerber said, baby girl, favorite daughter, lovely daughter. And I got Keith Allen here to my left holding it down with me. But we wanted to talk about how do we start off this new year on the right foot? What do we do? Because 95% of your problems can be solved by writing a check. If 95% of your problems can be solved by writing a check, that means you need to get you some money. And you got to get you some money, and scared money don't make no money. You can't get no money if you're fearful. You cannot get any money, any more money if you're fearful. And understand that this conversation still applies to you even if you make $100,000 a year. Even if you got $100,000 sitting in the bank, I'm still talking to you. Do you know why? Because sometimes we have this false illusion that once we hit six figures or once we can touch six figures that we have arrived. And I got news for you. You haven't. There's still more. Your job when it comes to money, let me tell you what you're supposed to be doing with money. And this is a write this down moment too. When it comes to money, you're supposed to be using money to, number one, create more money. Always and always. You are absolutely supposed to be using your money to create more money. That is how you really and truly put yourself in a position to be able to write all the checks you want to write. Not by working long extra hours, but by working, you're exchanging time for dollars. And after you've exchanged enough time for dollars, then you get to the point that you say, I'm going to now exchange dollars for dollars. Create more money.
But that sounds to me like investing.
Okay.
And if you start to invest, don't you stand a real chance of losing your money?
Absolutely. But now, see, you said that I word investing. I try to break it all the way down. Like, break it down. Like, make more money, create more money. I tried to say it nice and put some sugar on it. We want to get real to the root of it. You're right. That's investing. You have to invest. And yes, there's always the chance that you can lose some money, but you got to risk something to get something, right? You have to be able to put your head in the game and say, hey, I want to invest. I'm not going to sit my money on the sideline. You know the story of the 3 talents, right? How many of y'all read the Bible?
Absolutely.
Y'all read the Bible. You may take it literally. You may.
Was that one of the times you went to church when you heard that story?
That was one of the times. That was one of the times. That was back in the days. I don't even think I've read that one in church. In church, I was sleep. But the story of the 3 talents is, you know the story. I'll tell it to you quickly. The talent who received, the king gave the 3 talents. I'm going to give you some, I'm going to give you some, I'm going to give you some. Go off and do something with your talents. The talent who buried their money and didn't do anything with their money was damned and cursed to the ethers. And you're a poor peasant son because you didn't invest your talents. So think about this talents. You can think about those talents as your gifts, as your purpose, as your passion, physical, right? Excuse me, not physical, but you can think about them as your gifts and your talents, or you can think about it as tangible money. If you take your money and you sit it on the sidelines, or you bury it in the ground, or you put it under your mattress, the cost of milk is going up. The cost of bread is going up. Everything is going up. It's not going to be long before you realize that that money that you have is not worth as much as it once was worth, because you lose something called purchasing power, right? So now we're going to get into financial planning talk. I told you I'm true to this, not new to this, right? So if you bury your money, if you're too scared to invest, then, you know, nobody wants to force you to do anything. That's one of the things that we pride ourselves on at the Henderson Financial Group. It's purely education. And we're going to educate you because we want you to make the best decisions so that you can live the life that you deserve to live. So now when we educate you and we say, hey, we give you the tools and the education, if you still say, I'm scared, I don't want to invest, no problem. I know you'll be back, because you'll be back when you go lift up that money on that mattress and you realize that money that you had now is worth half because of the cost of inflation and your purchasing power. So what you need to be able to do is always allow your money to make more money for you so that you don't have to work as hard. You want to put your money hard at work for you instead of you working hard for your money. Go ahead, Keith.
So in other words, if you have some money, some talent, and you invest it, the possibility is that you might take a loss that we would call an educational opportunity. But if you don't, and you put it under the mattress, it's guaranteed you're gonna lose.
Absolutely. You got a guaranteed L. A guaranteed L. So I'm of the younger demographic.
So if I invest, I got a possibility to make.
Right.
So if I hold on to it, I'm guaranteed.
You
to
guaranteed. The good way to put it. You guaranteed to take a loss. If you hold on to it and you hide it and keep it and don't, you're in a losing position. I have I'm 38 for those of you who all don't know. I still consider myself young, but now that I got 22 and 23-year-olds in the office, they don't consider me young. I try to talk about the old people and they're like, you in that age group.
You ought to.
Right. It's you. I see it's you. So it's like, wow.
You are the old people.
You are amongst those people. Like, okay. But anyway, there's a story. Nipsey Hussle. How many of you are familiar with the late, great Nipsey Hussle? He tells a story of how he and his brother had actually buried money in the ground and behind their mother's houses. Behind their mother's house. In one of the interviews, they buried the money, and when they came back for the money, I guess they didn't think about it as most people do when they bury things, because you're acting in fear.
Exactly.
You're acting in a spirit of lack, a spirit of scarcity. And when you're moving in fear, you can't think clearly. Let me say that again. When you're moving in fear, you can't think clearly. So he's acting in a place of fear, and he and his brother buried, I think they said $100,000 in cash in his mother's backyard. And when they went to dig it up, the money, because of the elements, it was all stuck together. It was moldy. They couldn't use it anymore.
Right.
So they took the L, thinking by moving in fear that they were actually hiding some money or burying their money, not using their talents and not, investing it. And they ended up taking a guaranteed L. And that's what happens when you operate in fear. So that's the thing with fear. It's so tricky. It has you feeling like you're making a logical decision. And really what it is, fear is a powerful emotion. And when you're acting in fear, you're making an emotional decision.
Exactly.
And when you make an emotional decision, you are making a logical decision. When logic is driving the front seat, emotions are in the back seat. But when emotions are on the front seat, where's logic? Out the window. It's completely out the window. So we know that, again, let's going back to, we're getting ready to fear. We're starting off this first Saturday, January 2020, with that gut punch. We're hitting you with that 1-2 Hyacinth Henderson style, Keith Allen style, getting you ready for the new year, not only for 2020, but and beyond. Because if you put these things in place and think about what we're sharing with you, I guarantee you, one of the only guarantees I can give you, I guarantee you that you're going to have a better tomorrow than you did yesterday. And so we know that you need to create more money. The second thing that money is used for is to create more time. That's it. Now think about that. And you say, dang, Hyacinth, what do you mean by that? So if you use your money to create more time, then you can spend your time doing what? Creating more money. You see how that goes? So rule 1, use your money to create more money. Rule 2, use your money to create more time. Because when you do rule 2, you go right back to rule 1. And what do I mean by that? As you're using your time to create more money, then you got a money machine. That you just printing out a money machine. How does that look? Using your time to create more money, maybe writing a book, maybe starting that podcast, maybe starting that business, maybe investing in a course, using your money to create more time, investing in a course that you have to study. Right? That's going to, on the back end, give you some more time, give you more money. And I know the thing is, when you start studying and you talk about going back to school and taking courses and stuff like that, you're like, dang, it's going to take me 6 months to do it. It's going to take me a year to do it. But let me tell you something. We're in the year 2020. My grandmother was born in 1938, and she couldn't even imagine 2020. And here we are. Granny, you still here. Voila. Like, we were just at our house the other night. It's so funny. She told my son, shout out to my son, he likes to go by the name Action. Now he's changed his name to Action. Let's see how long that sticks. Action, right? But he's been going with it for a while. It's been about 8 months, and he corrects me, Action. Okay. But anyway, so she says, you know what? You're such a handsome little boy. And he says to her, thanks, you're not so bad yourself. Thanks, you're not so bad yourself. And she fell out laughing, and I reminded her, I said, yeah, Granny, you still here. You're still here. It's 2020. So when you talk about going back to school, when you talk about taking a course, taking a class, or doing something, or whatever it is, realize that you're going to look up and it's going to be 2030.
Well, let's tie that back to what we said earlier.
Yeah.
If you can solve most of your problems, or you can solve 95% of your problems by writing a check.
Yep.
but then 95%, only 5% of people are going to be wealthy, then you still got to do what the 5 do.
That's right.
So that does mean investing in yourself, reading, doing anything or doing all those things that are uncomfortable, cause you to get out of your comfort zone, and that you can then cash in on.
Absolutely.
Because that investment in yourself is what works. I want to use this moment to do a commercial real quick.
Let's do it.
And the commercial is a lot of the things that we talked about this morning, the principles that they actually reference can be found in a book that actually got put together by Robert Henderson at the Henderson Financial Group, called Spiritual Principles for a Prosperous Life. So when you come by the office, you need to ask for the book that's a primer on how to actually identify fear, how to identify the principles that will help you change your mindset so that you can, in fact, enjoy your new American cream.
That's right. Cream, not dream. Cream. We creating. Ain't no dreaming around this thing. We creating. But yes, you're right. Spiritual Principles for a Prosperous Life. Thank you for plugging that. We wrote that book. That was, gosh, that had to be, let me see, my son was born in 2010. It had to be around 2010 because I remember I was big pregnant and putting that together. So that had to be 2020. And one thing that Keith said is the principles can change your life. And it's absolutely true. They will change your life. But here's the thing. The principles will not change. So the principles are the things that remain and will cause you to change. And so they never change. Was that 2020 that came? 2010? 2012? Okay, so maybe I put it out.
You were right. You had to be working on it
in 10 to get it out. And here's the thing. I just ordered a ton of those. You can actually get those off the website on HendersonFinancialGroup.com. I think it may be under the resources tab or something. Click on there and order, or stop by the office, call the office. It's a compilation. It's a very good book. It's one of those books that you want to have. You're going to read it, and then you're going to read it again for reference. You're going to highlight it. You're going to do all that kind of stuff. Because really, once you get the principles down packed, then everything else is going to fall in line. Listen, we're in the financial planning business, the investment advisory business. But hear me good when I say all of the tools and the things that we have, whether it's the stock market, ETFs, mutual funds, life insurance, real estate, those are merely tools on our tool belt. You cannot use the tools correctly if you don't know how to use them. Your mindset and your financial plan is the blueprint. So all of the tools, y'all want to come in and like, buy me this stock, put me in this ETF. Like, you want me to use a hammer, you don't even know what you're building yet. Right? You don't know what you need. You may not need a hammer to hang up a picture. You probably just need a little screwdriver to hang up the picture, or a drill.
You want me to use the hammer and you don't have the nail. You
don't have the nail. You out of whack. So think about, so what we're telling you is, when we talk about principles, when we talk about mindset, when we talk about fear, once you get these things nailed down, another reference, then you can hang up all the pictures you want to hang up. You can have all the money you want to have, right? I think we got a caller. Keith,
yes,
you want to go?
Alex?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you folks?
All right.
Hey, Lexi.
Hey. Much success during 2020 and the upcoming decade, because we're entering a new era, and, we need people like you guys, fighting the good fights.
Yes, sir. Much success all around. Listen, I already know that 2020 is going to be an absolutely amazing and life-changing year. I'm not just saying it. I believe it. And because I believe it, I know it is so.
Absolutely. And I love that book, The Spiritual Principles. I have it, but I would like to make a request, because since Professor Keith has such a wonderful voice, and he was, the blessing to produce the audio version of the Underground Railroad book. Maybe you guys can produce a audio version of the Spiritual Principles, because I like information, but I am a busy person that's always juggling several balls at one time and hyperactive, and I can't sit down to read more than 5 to 10 minutes at a time, or when I do read it starts relaxing me to the point that I fall asleep. So audio books and audio information is good for my type of personality. And like the Underground Railroad book, I listened to it like 500 times. But the books, I've only read it maybe 10, 20 times.
Well,
The information.
we'll take that into consideration then, Alex.
I think it's an awesome,
Yeah.
awesome recommendation. Thank you so much for blessing us with that this morning, right? Since we back in the
and thank you for looking at me with like, hey, brother, get ready to go to work.
Get it done. I'm giving Keith the eye. I'm giving him the eye. Like, you see that? We need you. But no, that's a great recommendation. I firmly believe what you say by saying audio. I can start over. I can relate to that because we're always moving and going and moving and shaking. And so when you listen to an audio, you can be in the car driving from one destination to the next. You've gotten through 2-3 chapters. You can be on the treadmill or wherever you are listening to the audio. And that's a great point. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for Alex for that suggestion. And we are going to look at Keith and give him a stern eye and say, make that happen. Thanks, Alexi.
I can hear it now.
Thank you. No, and because Robert always says, "How do you know so much?" And I go, "It's because I'm always listening to you guys. So you guys are a blessing to me and to many other people, and I thank you so much." And on a side note, maybe you can comment on that before the show ends. There's that 95% of the people, and I was within that percentile for a long time. Failure is a very painful process. But it's the process of to get to success. But it hurts so much sometimes because I've had reversals of fortune and I've had, breakdowns and cycles of mess. So, how do you overcome the fear of failure and the pain of failure and come up stronger? And I'll leave with that.
Absolutely.
Well, first of all,
great point. We're going to let you go and then we're going to tap into that.
Yeah, but first of all, the couple of things that we've learned going along that same path is getting into the 5% is not necessarily the goal. Mm-hmm. Striving for it is the goal. Striving for it and continuing to strive for it. The folks say failure isn't final. The game isn't over until you call it over. Mm-hmm. And the pain is what you actually, or how you processed that particular experience. But remember, confusion and learning is territory you have to cross to get to the other side. You have to cross through confusion. You have to cross through lack of understanding. And sometimes you have to cross through failure in order to get to the learning that you're looking for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good point, Keith. And Alexi, thank you for bringing that to the forefront, right? Because sometimes people don't want to talk about that. You listen, I tell my kids all the time, you got to go out there and fail. Like, fail fast and fail hard. Because the quicker you fail, the faster you're going to learn. But see, what we don't do is we don't fail, air quote. Failure isn't final until you lay down. Exactly. When you lay down, that's when it's final. But you tried something, didn't work out, boom, cool. What did you learn from it? But society has taught us that, oh my God, that didn't work out the way you thought you wanted it to work. Now you're doomed and you're a failure. You can't do anything. No, man, that's why you got to get you some new friends. Get you some new people. Constantly be feeding your mind, body, and soul and your spirit with positivity and people who have done some stuff and accomplished some stuff, because we will be the first to tell you, as Alexia said, we done failed at some stuff. Everything hasn't worked out the way that we thought it was supposed to work out, but it certainly works out the way that it's supposed to work out.
You don't get a hit every time you get up to bat.
But here's the thing. That's right. I love that.
But you got to keep getting up.
You got to keep getting up, because we have an idea in our mind of how we want it to work, but there's a bigger plan of how it's supposed to work and how it's going to work, and you can never get to that bigger plan unless you keep getting back up. So yes, I know it hurts. You bruise your neck, your legs, you scrape your knees. You got to get up and keep going. How do you do it? You just got to do it. I'm a firm believer, and you may have heard me say, everybody wants to get to the wisdom well, but you got to go through hell to get through the wisdom well. What do I mean by that? You got to have experiences. You have to learn. You got to go through something. You got to grow through something to be able to be a success. So you got to get down there, get your knees dirty, get your hands dirty, and get into it. And then keep going. You got to keep going. There's none of us on this earth who you see or who are successful. We've all experienced different failures, perceived failures. And what you do with them is you got to learn through them and keep going. And sometimes you may not have the strength to do it, but if you just tell yourself, I love myself enough that I'm going to keep on going, then it'll all work out.
Yeah,
I love myself enough to keep going. I love myself enough to choose new friends. I love myself enough to choose a new mate. Tito, you got to go. I love myself.
Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going.
Keep going. Yeah, don't stop. Why would you stop?
Listen, contact us at www.thehendersonfinancialgroup.com or 305-825-1444. It's the first Saturday in 2020, and you've been listening to Understanding Money.
Yes. Understanding Money with Hyacinth Henderson and Keith Alling. We are sitting in for Robert. He's in Orlando at a financial conference getting more financial wisdom. And Linda Harris. Linda Harris and Robert Henderson, they're out, and here we are. And we're sitting in, and we've almost done this for hours, 54 minutes. We've been up here for 54 minutes, and we only have about 3 minutes left. So time is flying, and I hope you've enjoyed us. I hope we've given you some jewels and nuggets really to start off this 2020 on the right foot, because I believe, as I said, this is going to be the best year yet. And after you finish this best year yet, guess what? You're going to roll into 2020 being the even better year, because it's going to create that momentum. But one thing you got to do, one thing you got to let go of, you got to release that fear, because it's false evidence appearing real. It's false evidence appearing real. And you are no different from any other person that has $1 million, $1 trillion. The only difference is they kept getting up. They love themselves enough to keep going. And I know you love yourself enough to keep going.
A passage from the book says, if you're tired of marching mindlessly with the walking dead, then step out of formation, follow the beat of the new rhythm. And the time to do that is now. Right now. Not now, but right now. Right now.
Let's get it. That's from Spiritual Principles of a Prosperous Life. Stop by the office, call us, let us know you're coming to get your copy. It makes a great gift. It makes a great, great gift. If you still haven't given out your gifts for the new year, then come by the office, grab 5 of them for your friends and family members, and pass some things on out. We're going to wrap up here. You can find us here on the internet at www.thehendersonfinancialgroup.com. That's www.thehendersonfinancialgroup.com. If you're old school and play by the old rules, you can find us by calling at 305-825-1444. And for those of you who don't know, if you want to hear me next week, I'll be back on the radio at 6 a.m., my regular time, right here on 1210 The Man. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Search Hyacinth Henderson, HYACINTH Henderson. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have 5 new videos going up, and I have a ton of other videos on there. They're all old recordings of the radio shows. Keith, you got something to say before we hit it?
305-825-1444. That's the Henderson Financial Group when you want to have more.
When you're ready to have more, when you're ready to create more money and create more time. Until next time, I've been up since 4:30 a.m. I'm going home to get me an hour of sleep, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.
Peace out.